Testing. Syphilis.
Please, for the love of God,
syphilis.
tell us you can hear us.
Syphilis.
Unique New York.
Syphilis.
Unique New York.
Good morning.
Morning.
Joe Kellen, Youngstown Talk Channel. Expecting the MLO Bros.
Sorry.
Tough shit.
It's just a happy surprise. Yeah.
How we doing?
You think there's disappointment, or do you think people are pleasantly surprised?
Totally pleasantly surprised. I'm looking out
That's
of
what
the
I'm going
window
with.
where a plume of smoke is going up, thinking that maybe my car is on fire.
What is that from?
I have no idea.
Oh, the construction, maybe.
All right, good
Yikes.
morning. As always, I give you first strike at what the heck you want to talk about, and it usually leads into about 2 hours of dissertation. So what do you got?
Why do you say that with such like disdain in your voice?
I don't. This
I
is
let you
not-
talk, and then 2 hours later, you're still talking.
No,
what
you're
that
just
sounded
reading
like.
me wrong. You're just I'm pleasant about this.
So I have something weird. It'll be
I like
quick.
weird.
Yeah.
No.
It
Every
will.
time you say it's freaking quick, it is never freaking
I
quick.
do think it is. It's
Okay,
just
go
a
ahead.
weird little nothing
Yeah.
topic. But something weird funny my kids do, and I'm sure they're not the only ones. So it's summertime, it's bathing suit season. People are in bathing suits. My kids have seen me in a bathing suit every summer since the day they were born. And that's fine. And it's not weird. But it's very weird to them to see me in my home in my underwear. Like if I have to run to the laundry room to get something or whatever. And I'm clothed. It's not like I'm naked. But they'll go, oh God, you have no pants on. And I'm like, I'm literally wearing more clothing than a bathing suit. Like you see me like you just saw me all weekend in a bathing suit, not weird. But if it's undergarments, weird. And I asked them this morning, I was like, why is that? Why is that so weird to you? And I get it. It feels different for some reason. Why?
Well, you're talking Mr. Logic. Like there is no mathematical difference between those two
What I'm
things.
saying. Yeah.
Fabric differences, sure. How you apply them, sure. How you use them, sure. Right? But cultural programming is a thing. And
Yes.
if you want to sort of like mass hypnotize, right? That's what we're in. We have these such weird conflicting philosophies, right?
Yeah.
And it makes no sense
It's like ingrained and we don't even know why. Because
Yeah.
I even asked them like this morning, I had to go to the laundry room to get my jeans. I had undergarments on. I had a t-shirt on. I even had socks, everything. I was more covered than I would be in a bathing suit.
Mm-hmm.
And my son's like, but a bathing suit is an outfit. It's a normal outfit. You're not in an outfit. I was like, I'm literally in more clothing than I would be in my
Mhm.
bathing suit. I am more covered. But he's like, no, that's weird.
Yeah,
That's weird.
mass stupidity is what it is.
So how many other things do you think we are just
So
ingrained?
what is the purpose then of having clothing in the first place? Like maybe the people who just free it all the time, like ask 100 people and find out if they know what's under those clothes anyway. Would it be a surprise? What is so virtuous about modesty?
I don't know. I mean, is it different though when it's your kids? Should it be weird for your kids to see you in less clothing? Or is it that like, why? Like I've even said to my kids, like, you realize you like came out of this, right? Like I literally made you.
But it's one of those last bastions where we had that sense that, we should, be modest and we should be pure and whatever. And so we're hanging on to that just a little bit. But then you go out in the landscape of all things, and there is no modesty out there. There, it's not even a thing, but we're holding on to it like it is.
Yeah. Like bathing suits are getting skimpier and skimpier and more risque.
I say just go nude. Just freaking
like a nude beach.
Just everybody be nude, and clothing should protect you from dangerous things, and that's it.
Well, clothing can protect you from the sun.
That's it. So wear enough clothing that you're protected from the sun. Make it total utility.
So people start walking around nude or
Yes.
mostly nude. You don't feel weird in any
I
way.
don't care.
I think you would.
Why?
I bet you would.
Like what?
Because it'd be weird.
But if it's everybody, then it's just it becomes the status quo.
Then it's the new normal.
That's it. That's all we got to do is break out of that clothing thing.
Kind of like I remember when I was a kid in school, our dress code was far more strict than it is now.
Yeah.
And then my parents before me was far more strict than I had it. And it was almost like, how do you go from can't wear pants if you're a girl, or can't show your knees, or can't show your shoulders? And now it's like they can wear crop tops and the nude normal.
That's
I
perfect.
love that.
Clem, thank you. Appreciate that. That's
That
very
was
clever.
a good one.
But what would hate, like, we could undermine the pornography industry in 2 seconds when we just have everybody be nude. Then
That's
here's
a
what would
good
happen.
point.
It would be a reversal, right?
Yeah.
Everybody would be nude, and then clothing would be the promiscuous thing, where we would look at, like, that person is wearing like a t-shirt.
Yeah.
That would be the sexy
What
thing.
are you, prude?
No, it'd be the opposite. You're a rebel if you wear the t-shirt.
Whoa, you're risque.
Yeah, look at that girl over there. She's wearing a bikini.
Okay, so then how do you feel about parades?
What?
You know, like pride parades,
Right.
where if people are being risque,
I mean,
just normalize it.
If that's what's pushing the envelope, then just go all in on it. I'm serious. Like, just go full nude, and then it won't even catch your attention. If everybody's nude, then nobody is nude.
It would be interesting what they would do to the adult entertainment industry.
It would
if
destroy
it was like meh.
yeah, you would
big
you
deal.
would you would normalize it, right?
Yeah.
I guess from a guy's standpoint, like the uncontrollable hard-ons would be really hard,
No
you know,
pun intended.
really hard to not be outed. So you'd have to have lot more biological control. You'd have to, like, think of fat whale, think of fat whale, think of fat whale.
Unless, again, that's just normalized, because doesn't that also happen when it's like not from an aroused standpoint, but just like medically
Just sometimes,
happens?
because sometimes there's no rhyme or
like it
reason
just
to it.
happens
It just
sometimes.
happens. And I think you can communicate better when your biology is telling the world that I'm ready for action. Right? It would be much. The
Anybody?
dating scene would
Anybody?
change. Pornography would change.
So, I mean, like, I have a male dog.
Yeah.
And I always say, put that thing away, you pervert. But that's not what that means. It can mean a lot of different things when the lipstick comes out. So technically, like, becomes normalized for an animal, could become normalized for a human.
I don't think it's a big deal. I think it would take a couple years to get used to it, but I don't necessarily think it changes anything. Although, maybe more sunburns out in public because of the lack of protection, but I don't know. Maybe sex becomes a little bit more common, and the birth rate plummeting reverses, and we start having more kids again. I mean, maybe that's exactly what we need.
Do you think it would promote more sexual
Yeah,
activity?
I think guys would be more aroused, and then girls would see what guys are packing, and I think it would lead to more.
But if we
interaction.
normalize it, then it's probably less arousing.
No, I think
You're
there's
like,
some
eh,
primitive state.
eh.
There's some primitive states. It wouldn't be more. I don't think the physical, like I'm, me coming in my branded digs, right, isn't going to woo you over and make you want to sleep with me. But if I'm packing 18 inches of pure fury,
I don't know if that would be a sell.
but maybe to you, but there might be some, like, if I could get creative with my shaving routine. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I could use to then lure people in.
Think about back in the day when, like, it was risque to show your ankles.
Right. Even like the Amish.
So
the Amish.
Yeah, that could like induce a feeling of something to see ankles. But now we're like, ankles, big deal. We
Right.
see ankles all the time. That
That's
doesn't
right.
do
That's
anything for me.
exactly.
So I don't see how it would increase the
But
desire to populate if it means
human
nothing.
beings will always find ways to be different and stand out. So if you take clothing away as your expression of your individuality, it'll just be something else.
So in a world that it is totally normal and common to have nudity, if you covered up, people would be like, "Ooh, how intriguing."
Yeah,
Ooh,
exactly.
how-
What are they hiding? Like they must have
Yes.
something they don't want me to see.
Like,
And then you wear
ooh,
clothes,
what
and
could it
that's
be? And
the
then you're
most
like,
rebellious act.
then you're like, surprise! It's the same thing you see all the time.
But I hid it from you, and you want it more.
I made it more
Neener.
intriguing. Yeah, it's that like, oh, I can't have it. I want what I can't
That's
have.
exactly right. We need to just let the pendulum swing in the direction it wants to go anyway. Give into it. Let all the repercussions that happen from it, and then people realize that that's not a great thing, and then go in the opposite direction. That's just how we roll.
So, in order to make my kids more comfortable, instead of walking around with no pants, just go nude and
just
be
have
like,
them all go
look
nude.
how bad it could be.
That's right.
Well, that's funny too. When the kids become old enough to where they're like, if they're nude in the bathroom or something, and they're like, don't look. And again, I say, I've seen it. I've seen it. Seen it since I made you. I changed your diapers. I've bathed you. Like, I've seen it. But something becomes ingrained that, like, oh no, it's not okay anymore. It feels weird now. And why is that?
And I don't know. Like, have you ever been to the beach and one parent just decides to let their kid go nude and jump into the waves, and you feel uncomfortable as an adult witnessing that, right? It's a weird thing. Like, put at least a diaper. Like, that's a vulnerable position for that kid to be in, and I don't want to be around it. And so it makes me uncomfortable.
It makes me uncomfortable because I feel like we don't know what other people are thinking. We don't know if someone else is looking at that in an impure way.
Right.
So it's almost like I'm not uncomfortable because I feel some kind of way. I'm uncomfortable for you because I don't know what those people are thinking.
I would never do that because there's some sickos out there that would take advantage of that and get an erect penis because of a young kid running around on a beach. And I'm talking about Congress, more or less.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, but then again, that just says you can't go to the whole make everybody nude, because what about kids?
Well, but you've made it a thing where it is sort of like a forbidden fruit, and if you make it unforbidden, maybe you remove some of the allure of it.
So, should we make it unforbidden to have relations with kids?
Not a chance.
Right. So some things have to stay that way.
I agree. I mean, even like the transgender bathroom, like I always thought, like if you're going in here to use the facilities and you're just whatever, why do girls don't want to see guys do it? And why do guys don't want to see girls do it? I mean, have you ever been in a unisex bathroom where there are both sexes doing their business?
I think so. Yeah, I guess. Not like, so, like in a stall. I feel like I've known that there was a guy in a stall. I didn't see anything.
Right. Well, what would be the downside to it? I mean, I'm a very private bathroom person. So if everybody's on the first floor, I use the restroom on the second floor. And if everybody's on the second floor, I use it on the first floor. And if there's somebody on the first floor and second floor, I go to the basement. I am always a floor distance away when I'm doing at least number twos for sure.
Even in your home?
In my home, yeah.
Why?
I'm a very private person when it comes to that kind of stuff.
It is a weird thing.
Yeah.
I feel like all of us, like, I have found myself, if I am using a public restroom and I can tell the person next to me has been in there a while, I will hurry and get out fast so they don't feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I know they do.
Right.
And I'm like, why? Why? We all do it. We all do it. We all know why we're in this room. We all know what's happening. But there are these like awkward things. Or
we have a couple guys in this building. Like if you go into the restroom, they have no compunction about letting loose, and they don't care who's around it. And the splatters and the sounds and the smells that go along with that makes me gag. And so I know that I will wait 10 minutes until they're finished before I use that restroom.
Do you want to hear an incredibly disgusting story?
Sure, let's do it.
I would love to know what I probably know what you would have done in this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
This was maybe a month ago or so. We were in Hudson near Cleveland. My husband and I and our son, our daughter was at a friend's house. We were having dinner with some friends. And my son had to go to the bathroom. And I said, well, I got to use the bathroom too. I'll take you before we leave. The bathrooms are in the back of the restaurant. And the closer we get, the more this powerful stench is hitting us. Don't even know what it is. My son's like, what is that? I said, I don't know. I don't know if something died in the air ducts. I don't know, because it's kind of by the kitchen. I don't know if maybe their the sewage is coming in. I don't know, but like, hurry up. You go in your bathroom. I'll go in my bathroom. Let's get the heck out of here. And he's like, okay. He goes in. I go in the women's room and immediately find out what it was. An older woman had an accident all over the place, all over the floor. As soon as you walk in, it's on the floor. It's in the sink. It's on the counter. I don't know. She clearly didn't make it. And two, it looks as though maybe the stall was taken because it was right there. It was all over her dress. And I'm just like, oh God, I gag even thinking about it. And the woman was in like surprisingly upbeat spirits. She's like, oh, excuse me. Just made a little bit of a mess here. And I said, oh, and she's like, that stall over there is clean though, if you want to use it. And everything in me went, run for the hills, turn and get the hell out of there. But I felt so bad for her and so embarrassed for her that I held my breath and went into the other stall because I didn't want her to be embarrassed by my disgust or like immediately turn and run, because I knew what had happened. I knew she couldn't control it. I know she doesn't want to be in this position. I know she's probably embarrassed even though she's playing it off. So I just looked at her and I said, happens to all of us. And I went in the stall and tried so hard not to puke, peed as fast as I've ever peed in my life, and ran the hell out of there. And luckily she was leaving as I came out. And I was just like, either I have the worst issue with boundaries and people pleasing I have ever seen, or I don't know what. Like any normal brained person would have left that room and not gone in there. And I went in there because I put my health at risk over making her feel bad.
Yeah.
Is that weird?
Very much so.
Like you probably would have ran.
The state, like I would have been nowhere near that place. I've gone in, we do a lot of state parks with our hiking. And
sorry, Jeff. I can forget about breakfast now.
Jeff. Like I know we freaking ruined it. But I go to state parks, and state parks restrooms are not known for their cleanliness. And there was one state park this weekend, and I said I'd rather get a kidney infection than go in that restroom. That's to the level that I will.
Were you just assuming how it was, or did you know what was in there? Yeah,
secondhand accounts. I should not go in that restroom. It is known that I can't take it. My stomach's not right for it.
Oh yeah, it took everything in me to not throw up when I went in there.
Well, thank you for bringing this topic up. Jeff is grateful. Carter's grateful.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't.
It started with you walking around in your underwear, and it got to number 2s in bathrooms. So I apologize.
In my defense, I don't think I brought up the bathroom. I think you turned it to bathroom. I escalated it quickly.
So who's grosser, men or women's restrooms?
I feel like men's.
I think women's are way grosser.
I don't think so.
Way grosser.
As somebody who used to clean bathrooms at different jobs, I beg to differ.
Okay.
I've worked in gyms where I had to clean the locker room. I've worked in restaurants where I've had to clean the bathroom. Why does a men's bathroom have footprints from tennis shoes up the wall? What's going on in here that I have to clean the footprint off of the wall?
Because men are pigs.
Yes.
They really are.
They really are. I'm not saying women can't be gross. I feel like men are intentionally.
Oh, yeah. It's funny. Gross. It's funny to be gross. You know, I mean, come on. Little kids laugh about their farts.
You know, I never found that funny.
I never did either.
I never find flatulent humor funny. No, it's just not.
I didn't either. I don't either. Have I ever farted in front of you? And we've known each other a really long time. I don't do that.
I don't do that in front
No,
of
I'm a
anyone on
gentleman.
purpose.
Right. I think we should get off this topic. I
Oh
really do.
God. How did we get
You
here?
did. I blame you. You got first strike. You brought us into flatulence.
Listen, I just want my kids to understand
All right,
that,
give me a new topic that has nothing to do with excretions.
I mean, yesterday we talked about something and nobody heard it because our sound was off. Do you want to go back
Sure.
there?
Let's go.
So yesterday we were talking about controlling the weather
Yeah.
and climate, things that humans do, like, what's it called? Cloud seeding,
Yes. Engineering.
geoengineering. The fact that we can put, I don't know what it's called. It's iodized silver, something or other, up into the atmosphere. And we can affect rainfall to help things like droughts and whatnot. And now there is this growing concern from people that because we are screwing with the atmosphere, we maybe could be causing things like mass flooding and all these other weather problems. And so my question was, do you think that has anything to do with it? Because I've also heard that when we do things like cloud seeding and whatnot, we're accounting for like 5%, at most maybe 15% of rainfall that happens from us doing that. Do you think that's true, or do you think we're actually affecting it more than we thought?
So, as an expert at everything, including
This is true.
weather and
Of all things.
cloud seeding, I think when you F with Mother Nature, there's always a cost. And if you don't go into it knowing that the butterfly effect of you making a change creates 1,000 flaps of a butterfly's wings in every direction, then you're not thinking deeply enough about it. So do I think, and I'm a spreadsheet guy, so you get net benefit, right? You add up all of the benefits that you get, you add up all the costs that you get. So like the CV, right?
CV?
The CV19.
What's that? I don't know what that is.
C19V. I have to use coded language when I talk about certain subjects that begins
Oh,
with C.
oh.
Yeah.
Woo! Took a sec.
Okay.
Ding, got
So
it.
what you do is you write out on a spreadsheet what it can do for you, and you write on a spreadsheet what harm it can do for you. And you look at those two things, and if there's a positive number, then you take a risk, because everything is a risk. And you find out if you want to do that thing with knowing the risks that are involved. We do this every day. Everybody knows it. There's nothing that is all benefit and no cost. And there's not many things that are all cost and no benefit, right?
Mhm.
So if you have, we'll say if you have a farmland agriculture that is food is, going to shrivel up and whatever, and you can take the risk of manicuring or cultivating rain from a cloud, and it saves all the crops, then you waterfall it down to find out how many lives you saved by saving those crops, and find out what the costs are. Like, you altered that rain and it's not going to drop in a different space and whatever. And you just keep going until you have ferreted out all of the costs. And then you say, should I do this? Yes or no? And I think because, we're very commercialized. And so we have one data point, right? You take this, and this happens, and don't ask any more questions, or you will be put at the back of the line. And we're very dumb in that, because human beings are really good at adapting through the costs that come along with it, if we know about them. And the people who pitch these things usually shield us from the costs, and then they act surprised when they actually happen. And I just think that's not a very intelligent strategy.
So do you think there's a time and place for purposely interfering with the weather and atmosphere?
Okay, so in your own home, you know this answer, right? So let's just say you had the fire, the sprinkler system for fires, right? You had it in your home, right? You have this big handle in your kitchen that if you pull this, every room in your house, the sprinklers come on and it shoots water in every direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would know when it's appropriate to use the sprinkler, right? Now, let's just say you're cooking bacon and you get a little flare up. Do you pull the lever? Yes, no. Why? Why would you not pull the lever? There's definitely a fire there. Why wouldn't you pull the lever?
I can use other means to control
The
that.
cost is that you're going to ruin a lot of shit. So if you're going to pull that lever, you want to make sure that the emergency is big enough that ruining the shit is a lesser, sort of a lesser option than the emergency that has presented itself, right? And so let's just say you have a farmer that's going to lose $1 million worth of tomatoes if you don't seed this cloud, right? So you're like, okay, well, farmer, pay for the cloud seeding. And then we're saying, okay, well, this is going to rain, but here are all the things that are going to happen. When do we want to pull that lever? When people will die, when people will get sick, when somebody won't make as much money as they would otherwise. And who's responsible then for the repercussions of pulling the fire alarm? If it's you, if you get the benefit, but also you get the cost, nobody has any problem with that whatsoever. It's only when you pull the fire alarm and somebody else shit gets ruined that you didn't ask them about what the rules are for pulling it, but they have a consequence to pay and they didn't get anything from it. So let's just say we seed clouds and we change what that cloud would have done and the direction it would have gone and the moisture that was in that cloud, and then you deprived almond guy down the road from the rain that would have happened naturally, right? He has a consequence to pay because you use that cloud to whatever. So maybe it's a gross misunderstanding of whether or not, you change and alter what the precipitation would be after you do the cloud seeding. But, it's got to be something. Nature doesn't work that way. You don't get a perpetual motion free ride anywhere.
Yeah, that's my thing is like, how much does it affect it? Like, can we just shoot something up there, a cloud rains and it's done and everything's gone? Or is it not gone, staying in the atmosphere now, just waiting to affect something else? I don't know how that works.
And strategic use of cloud seeding when there is huge repercussions, right? And you shield everyone from the liability, I would have no problem with. I think we are mindlessly effing with our environment always. So I mean, let's talk about environmentalism and the religion that is. We cannot have a serious, honest conversation about global warming, environmentalism. It is a religion where everybody is dug in, whether or not you think it's a hoax, whether you think it's actually happening, what to do about it. Like the whole thing, everybody just gets mad about it. So give me your thoughts on global warming and is it a thing?
So I've not read a whole lot about it. So I can't say I know for sure. I have zero data to back up any feelings. I feel like we've talked before about the idea of measuring things and studies. So when somebody says, it's a fact, look at this chart, the temperatures here are different than they ever used to be. My thought is, ever used to be starting when? Because were there times before you started charting it that it got hotter or cooler? Is this something that if we looked over a longer period of time, we would see ebbs and flows naturally? Like, I've questioned now the study itself. Anytime somebody says, oh, this level has risen or fallen, or this has changed or that has changed, I want to know, like, but over what time and what are the variables exactly, so that I know, from yesterday and today, the temperature changed. Sure did. Did something happen, or will it change again and then again? And the day before yesterday it changed, and the day before that it changed, and it means nothing. So to me, I struggle to believe where do climates change? Sure. Is it this controversial, we are doing something in a dangerous manner to affect that change? Maybe. I don't know. I can't imagine a living species living in a climate and not in any way affecting it. I'm sure we do to an extent, but how much that is controllable by us and how much isn't, I don't know. That probably wasn't a very good answer.
No, and coming from that angle, it's a fool's errand. You just run in a complete circle.
Yeah.
It's not science whatsoever, even though science people are doing it with scientific instrumentation and processes to make good guesses. It's not real science because it's impossible to science this one. You can only make relatively good guessing. And so long that you don't have an interest in one of the outcomes, then I'll trust what you say. But there are so many interests that needed to be real, that needed to be amplified, that, the studies are okay. But arguing about it doesn't make any difference. It means, like, what do we do about it? That's where the big arguments need to happen. And the intelligent people need to talk about it. So let's just say we're cause of global warming. Okay, so let's just say we have Joe and Kellen's Island, right? We discovered this place, never had an inhabited person. There's a pond on it. There's some wildlife on it. We're there, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think if this is a 1 square mile island with our pond and whatever, that we will have an impact on that island just from being there? Will we trample the flora? Will we kill the animals? Will we pollute the pond? Do we have an impact on a 1-by-1 just with 2 people? 100%.
Yeah.
So it is already determined that by being alive, we will influence and impact the environment 100%. Yep. Now, you and I can get together and we can be like, hey, we need that water for a drinking source. We need the flora to be able to, have food for the animals that we're going to eat. We got to keep the populations alive. We can adapt knowing that we will make a change by making the least amount of change possible because we got to live there, right? So if dude comes on our deal like, hey, we're going to manufacture lithium batteries on your deal. We're going to use your water and we're going to pump a bunch of chemicals into it. You and I are going to have a problem with that because we're stuck on this 1-by-1 and we need to be able to treat it well and make it livable for ourselves. That dude coming in, he might make a bunch of money with his lithium, but he's going to make our lives miserable. All right. So the adaptability with knowing all of the actual things that are in our control. Can we control pollutants? Can we control air pollutants, water pollutants, ground pollutants, and the fauna that are there? Yeah, we can control all that. So if all of our effort was in making the least amount of impact possible, we would almost have 100% of the people saying, yes, that is a smart thing to do. When you scale it down, when we ruin our own pond and our own 1-by-1, we can't go to the next mile square and make a new one. We don't want to do that. We want to deserve the little, square that we have. Mm-hmm. But what you want to do with it is where I discredit most people, right? Because this is just a weapon of choice against the people that you don't like. So what is our big move, right? What do we want to do to combat climate change? So I'm willing to say everything we're experiencing right now is not solar, it's not natural cycles. Let's just say we're causing it all. What do you want to do about it? What's the biggest?
I mean, you'd want to probably cut back on some things that you think are like affecting it. Don't they say like burning different things is doing
okay,
it?
So
burning?
if you have one of the biggest polluters or one of the most poison polluters, if you take a tree, cut it down, put it in a campfire and have a campfire, that releases things into the atmosphere. And now you've sullied the air because of burning
trees,
wood. Yes.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. It's very, very toxic.
Burning trees and wood.
Yes.
So like a forest fire can be very toxic.
Volcanoes, forest fires, lots and lots of campfires, very toxic.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So if you then isolate the things that are contributing to poisoning our little 1 square mile, if you found out that campfires kept us alive and allowed us to cook food and also is making the air in our 1-by-1, it's a cube now. So it's 1 mile up too.
Oh no.
All the smoke gets contained in our 1 mile cube. Yeah. Now we got to protect the air that we're breathing in because that is a consideration. So what do? We decide that we're only going to do enough camping, enough fire to eat and have warmth. We're not going to have like a token fire because we enjoy it. We're going to only use fires to stay alive because in the priority, we're important, right? Yeah. Our livelihoods, our security is priority above the Earth's and the environment's and the water's security. So if it was me or the pond, like you're like, hey, in order for Joe to survive, we have to pollute this pond. It means bad things down the road, but who's more important, the pond or Joe? We have to choose Joe like without hesitation because my life is way more important than the fauna, the flora, the pond, the air, everything. So people have to be first and foremost.
Isn't it sort of a catch-22 though, that eventually in this cube, if you ruin everything else, then you too will die because you don't have those resources.
So that's why you have to deserve your cube and know how to see what makes it healthier, see what makes it hurt more, and all of the things that are unessential that are contributing for its poisoning, you have to stop doing. So we live in a political state where it's not about personal responsibility. It's finding your enemy and making them do the thing you want them to do, where you have control over your little circle, and that's it. If you're responsible, then you can preach responsibility, and then you can basically market to other people that it's better that way. Your pond stays cleaner, the fish are greater, right? But so long that we're interjoined with other people and their bad decisions, the lithium guy doesn't give two shits that you're not going to have any water to drink, right? He needs lithium, he needs money, and that's it.
Is that why I don't even remember where I heard this, but I heard somebody saying, if we are going to make such a big deal in the United States about climate change and what we need to stop doing or start doing or whatever, then you better make sure China gets on board, because there's nothing we could do that'll matter if they don't.
It's 100% chance that it is a fool's errand. You cannot control enough people to get them all on your standards and force them to do the thing at all.
Yeah, like we could cut out everything that's bad or affecting it. We go bare bones. We've got nothing we used to have. It will not matter if the rest of the world is still doing.
So there's one word, right? We have to assume that this is an uncontrollable phenomenon, whether it be us causing it or whatever. The word is adaptability. Okay. If the lithium guy comes in and he says, hey, I got permitted to do this thing, and it's going to poison your lakes and streams, you have two choices: adapt, right? Or force stoppage or punishment or consequence to lithium guy. Well, obviously, we're not stopping lithium guy. We need lithium batteries. And in fact, of all the examples, I bet you the public would push back on not having a cell phone more than drinking water and eating fish, right? Yeah. And so we need our lithium. If it happens to kill us, then so be it. So adaptability is the key word. What are we good at? We are really good at adapting to those pressures. We are really, really good. All right. Our innovations are usually, when it's a necessity, we create invention every single time. So instead of fighting about who we're going after and who we're going to wield this weapon against, all of our brilliant scientist minds, instead of, it would just all conclude at this point: the environment, the ecology, the ecosystem is changing, period. And no amount of movement is going to send it back in the other direction. So put all of your energy in adapting around those things, and get really good at converting carbon dioxide out of the air and create fuels from it, cleaning up oceans and waterways. Put all of our momentum in that, right? Give the extreme advantage to innovating in those sciences instead of fighting against.
Oh, so instead of fighting about what we should stop, start looking into how we can use what we're already doing.
Exactly. But it's more popular just to fight it. Like, I can make arguments against, like Julie was saying, 97% of scientists have consensus that global warming is real. CO2 is increasing since the Industrial Revolution. I go with the scientists. And I can very easily argue against that, but it makes no difference. It's still going to happen. You're not going to get enough people to conform. You're not going to change behaviors enough. You're not going to shut down industrialization. You're not going to take emerging companies or countries and convince them that what we did 100 years ago, that they're now not permitted to do now. None of that's going to happen. So it is a fool's errand to push against stopping something that's unstoppable.
So instead of saying stop emitting CO2, it's what can we do with CO2? To use it in our benefit, to
adapt around it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's going to happen.
But it's the same amount of energy and money that would be put in adapting around the problem that we are fighting, where two groups are saying, no, it's really happening, but I don't know what to do about it. And no, it's not really happening, and don't worry about it. Both are stupid. Both are really dumb.
Julie says China is the leading investor in renewable energy with big goals to reducing emissions. That's nice.
I mean, Yes, I think that alternative energies, given enough time, will balance this out naturally. I think there's been enough advancement in those departments. But it's the emerging countries. There will always be a China that is on its heels that will need to produce coal energy and stuff that is, there's always going to be like, yeah, China might catch up to us, but then there might be Uganda. And after Uganda, there are too many players that we can't shut down the economic development of a third world country for the sake of the environment. We're hurting people, and people are number one. So we got to allow, think of our industrial revolution. There are countries that have never even seen the industrial revolution. They're going to get there in 20 years from now. What are we going to say? Hey, we got ours, right? Look, we're on nuclear. We're not contributing to CO2, but you look at you, CO2 creator, shut your shit down and have your people go back and have hand crank generators, right?
Yeah,
it's not going to happen. We can't get everybody on enough of a level playing field to insist that that's going to be the solution to our problem. That's not adapting.
Like, oh, this country's poor. They don't have a lot of oil. Well, here's a bunch of oil. Here you go. Now you're not poor. But now we're polluting the atmosphere. Well, then stop the oil. But then we'll be poor. Right. It's like,
that's why it's a fool's errand, because it goes in a circular argument, right? Where we're discussing and putting energy into things that are so far away from in our control, but that's where all of our attention is. Instead of, like, you know, when I read scientific papers, I get super interested in the people who are doing, you know, when you used to go to Best Buy and an LCD screen was like $10,000.
Yeah.
Right. It was, nobody bought LCD TVs because they were so damn expensive. They made no sense for anybody to buy.
Yeah.
But if it weren't for the people on the beginning of that innovation curve, we wouldn't have $200 LCD screens today. Right. So all of the renewables have to go through that same curve before they get mass adoption, before they figure out how to make them cheaply, before they make them efficient. And then when they get to the mass consumer, now they're actually usable. Batteries were terrible. Wind was terrible. You know, those generators that sit on the waves, you know, and use kinetic energy, the ones that are submerged under the ocean using our ocean currents to generate electricity, they're not usable or good now. It requires the adaptability people to buy into those things, develop those things without the pressures, right? You need to just have them for what they could do in the end. So if we're, you know, taking carbon dioxide and absorbing it from the atmosphere and turning it into fuel, that's good. And, you know, support the people who are trying. And if it ends up not working out, there'll be another innovation on the other side of that. Let that go away where it was a good start and it fueled the butterfly effect to other things. But we got to go through what China's doing, where we're really pushing into those other. If you went into China, if you went into Shanghai, right, in the late 90s, early 80s, like the smog was thick, right? Mm-hmm. People were having respiratory problems because of how much pollution. So they came to the acknowledgement as like, we're poisoning our people. Let's not do that. Let's try to move in another direction. But because we're a superpower, and Russia's a superpower, and China's a superpower, and India's a superpower, we have enough money to be able to push these innovations. So by the time Uganda gets to their industrial revolution, we could help them so that they can take a shorter learning curve where they don't have to have the Shanghai pollution when they're ready to do it. We will feed them the technologies that we made. And I think we're so good at this point. It's almost working against us. All right. If things were Shanghai bad, there would be public pressure to innovate faster. But our water is pretty good and our air is pretty good. So we're looking around here saying there's no emergency. I'm not pulling the lever where I'm going to start putting carbon credits and destroying companies and making sure people get laid off of their jobs because it's not bad enough. So the alarmists are getting frustrated because they're telling you, if we continue on this path, we're going to be in really bad shape. And I will agree with them, but it's not bad enough for anybody to really put money behind it because it's not an emergency yet.
Was it Al Gore that said we had like 10 years left or something like that?
Yeah, Al Gore and the Mayans say the world's going to end in 10 years, and that's a bad.
But
this is a bad.
Longer than 10 years ago that he said it.
Yes, it's a bad strategy to make a prediction. The alarmists, that's their frustration. They want you to take it serious, and they want to control your actions, and so they're going to fear you into doing different things. And in the landscape, the fear was worth it if they saved the planet, that they feel like they're in a noble position. I want us to be in an intelligent position, not a noble position.
Do you think if we in the near future had only battery powered vehicles, do you think that would do anything positive for the climate? And even if so, what then happens to all those batteries when that car dies?
Yeah. So the adaptability is we're really good at capturing energy from the sun, but we need to store the energy once we capture it and use it when the sun's not out. Right. So you need huge battery banks to be able to get the electricity that we need in our homes. Right. And lithium is reclaimable. The problem is that lithium reclaiming is more expensive than just digging up lithium in a third world country where you're paying $2 an hour to that person, right? So new lithium, cheap and easy. Reclaimed lithium is expensive and dirty, right?
What's reclaimed lithium?
So you have a lithium battery, right? You tear down the battery and you take the lithium out of the battery and you refine it, and then you make it usable for a new battery. So
like recycling it?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Very expensive, and there aren't very many innovators that are doing it well. In fact, Tesla, who is a big battery producer, is doing refining, and they say they do not want to be doing refining. They want anybody in the world to pipe up and do the lithium refining because they don't want to be a lithium refining company. It is a terrible business, right? But we're going to have this surplus of lithium batteries when this cycle, like I've got a 2017 Tesla that usually lasts about 10, 12 years. There's going to be a big battery bank. What the hell am I going to do with it to make sure that it ends up somebody that's going to recycle it?
See, that was my question, is like, are all these battery operated vehicles just like going to be in a landfill somewhere? Because that can't be good.
It's a huge resource that somebody needs to innovate into it to reclaim lithium better than what it is that we're paying for brand new mined lithium. But cobalt and all the other rare earth metals. You can see from the federal government side, they're making negotiations. Trump has hit Ukraine with a trade for using defense support for some of these rare earth minerals that we don't so desperately need for our electronics, right? So we're posturing for not using the lithium that's already here in the country, but go getting fresh lithium from a country that has a bunch of it. I want us to take a different position.
Why does the lithium refurbishing whatever suck so bad?
It's very dirty. It's a hard process. And when you're comparing it against somebody who's tearing down a battery, taking it through a chemical refining process, you have to reclaim it, meaning the busted used lithium and the components that are inside that battery. It's not just as easy as like take the lithium tube out of it and put it in a new battery. You got to make it usable for the next battery, which is harder than sending a kid in a mine with a bucket and pulling the lithium out and just giving fresh, unadulterated, lithium ready for use in a battery. So that's what I'm saying. Like chemical processes have to change, manufacturing processes have to change to make that lithium reusable in the future.
I was going to say, is there any way we can try to task another country that is struggling with this job,
the lithium refining,
and give them an opportunity to make money doing it?
Yeah, we can birth another industry where just in that vein, and that's just one of maybe 100 of those processes. But the problem is if we built a windmill out there right now, right out here in our parking lot, how many people would be in support of our windmill? How many people would be against our windmill? About 50-50, right?
Probably.
50% would say it's dumb because something that costs $150,000 has a capability of putting out $150 worth of usable electricity. It's a token gesture. It's not feasible. It's not efficient, right? And the people who love it will be like, oh, that's so noble. Like, I'm going to shop at your place because look how friendly you are to the environment. So it's stupid on either account. But me putting a windmill up there, when it is a break-even deal, like I did solar panels at my house. I did testing, put the panels up, built the entire system, and figured out, is it usable? How much would it cost me to build a solar system that was in Ohio that was a good decision.
You put them on your roof?
No, I just have an array sitting on the side of my house.
Oh, okay.
Right. Just doing the math on it to see if it's usable. And it would take me about 11 years to pay for the investment of all of my solar setup. Right. And then after 11 years, then I could sell a little bit back, right, to the grid. So it's scalable. So if I spent $5,000 on it, it would take me 11 years and I could sell whatever that is. If you go bigger and scale it, it's still about 11 years. And then you can sell back bigger panel or, bigger setup means that you're selling more power back to the electric companies. But all of these industries will get better. Like, we had a solar industry in the 80s and 90s. And then China started, building knockoffs of our solar panels, ripped the margin out of it. And the companies that were developing in the United States shelved it. And they were like, there's no money in it. I'm not going to develop solar panels. But think of all the money that we spend on dumb shit that if we can just subsidize the development where it doesn't make sense. They had a really good, the electric car subsidies. I think we're smart. I think the solar panels, I think that's smart. Anybody that's developing in that environment, the more experiments that are going on, the faster that consumers are like, okay, well, can we get to 7 years payoff? I make the investment for 7 years, and then I can live off some of the solar panels, and I can sell it back to the electric company for storage or distribution. But anyway, the case is that you have to make it a non-political issue so that smart people are in control of it and it doesn't become a zealotry argument instead of a scientific argument.
Oh yeah, everything becomes a political issue and or argument because people want to profit off of everything. And it's like there could be this amazing idea and here's a new innovation and I think it's really going to help people and it's going to be a smart move, but people in power want to be the ones over that and benefiting from it and getting credit for it. So then it'll be made controversial.
Yes.
So that somebody could be the person that's credited for it or whatever. And it's like, that's our biggest issue is the stinking humans that will fight each other over any and everything and stifle any innovation or any progress.
Yeah. But adaptability, like I use solar because I know the most about it. And, it on paper, it makes no sense. Okay. Do you know why it doesn't make any sense?
No.
Because the Earth has an atmosphere that protects us from the sun's radiation. There's an immense amount of sun energy that the sun gives off. We are we are just pummeled with energy. But we would die if the density of energy actually reached human beings. The atmosphere protects us from that radiation and diffuses it. So that when solar collectors actually takes that solar and then re-intensifies it. It collects it up and pushes it into a usable form. So we're fighting against the atmosphere doing us a favor so we don't fry because of the energy. And then we're taking that energy and trying to refocus it to make it usable for actual energy. But let me give you some fanciful ideas that I really like. Okay. You ever hear of the space elevator?
No.
Okay. So a space elevator is basically a big cable that is attached to the Earth. And then we launch a weight up into the atmosphere, or above the atmosphere, low Earth orbit, right outside of the different layers.
This is something that exists?
Theoretically exists.
Okay.
Cable, big counterweight. So now the Earth is spinning and the counterweight is outside of our atmosphere. So it pulls it because of the centrifugal force of the Earth. You've got this big, heavy thing that's sitting in space tethered to the ground, right? So now you have this big thing in space that's outside the atmosphere. Could I then take energy from the sun where it's not diffused, collect it when it's outside the atmosphere, and then send the energy down the long cable down to the Earth? I'm thinking, okay, well, we've harnessed a little bit more power than we were capable of collecting down on the surface. But it sounds crazy, but I think that's less crazy than saying, hey, we've got a bunch of these industries that hire people, make profits for companies, finance our market in the stock market. And we're going to destroy them, right? For the sake of the environment, where we're going to penalize and tax and regulate them out of existence. And at the end of the day, we didn't save shit. All we did was hurt human beings in doing it. So if we can figure out a way to do crazy stuff that doesn't hurt human beings and their jobs and the companies that they work for, I'm all for it.
So just as though a solar panel would collect the energy here,
yes,
make like a heavier duty solar panel like thing up in space that has the ability to send that energy down and power a bunch of things.
Yes.
Safely.
With higher efficiency. Yeah.
Make that happen.
And honestly, think about this. If you have a space elevator and that big cable that's tethered to space, you know what makes space travel and rocket launches expensive is the fuel to escape Earth's gravitational pull and going through the atmosphere. But if you can attach your payload to the space elevator and just pull it up the cable, you would save on all of that rocket fuel.
It's a space fast rope.
Fast rope, yeah, exactly. No energy expense except for the motors that pull it up to the atmosphere. I'll give you downside.
Okay.
If ever you have this counterweight in space becomes unstable, it could start like hitting the Earth and flailing. So you'd have to figure out how to make it stable so it didn't go crazy and like destroy entire cities as it scraped across
like an
the
enormous.
Earth. Yeah. We'd have to figure that out first.
That would be bad.
That would be bad.
Another pretty risky.
Another idea is launching satellites that are just solar panels and focusing the energy so that they're shooting it through lasers down to the Earth to a big satellite dish. You take this laser from space and it beams the energy down so it becomes usable on the ground. There's I don't know if you've ever seen the civilizations and how they progress phase one or stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. And we are getting to like the end. I believe it's the tail end of stage 2, where a stage 2 civilization uses all of its sun's energy, right? It's capable of, it's called Dyson sphere. And this is, again, fanciful. This is stuff I live for, though. So basically what you do is you take a bunch of satellites and you position them around the sun, right? And you totally encapsulate all of the energy and you beam it towards Earth.
And they'd have to be far enough away to not burn up.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Maybe some burn up.
And then you beam it to Earth.
But these exaggerated ideas get us closer to something in between the really crude innovations that we have right now and the Dyson sphere. There's going to be different steps along the way. It doesn't have to be a space elevator, but when you start thinking about, what's working against us most, our damn atmosphere. It's keeping us safe, but we need that damn atmosphere. But let's get energy from outside of it. Try to be, and again, all you have to do is produce a 10 principles. People first, clean as you can, just like we're on our island and we've got the 1 cubic mile of space around us. How do we treat that space as good as possible without having to bail and go to an unpolluted version? That's how we should, invite people to behave in their environment. You've been on camping trips, right? People throw their trash out and pollute it. Why? Because they're just going to move on to another spot. They don't
lazy.
Care. But if it's your drinking hole and you got to drink out of that puddle, you're not going to piss in it because you're the one that's going to be paying those consequences.
Yeah. But then these ideas sound almost like exciting and inspirational. And then I come back to reality where I think, look at Elon Musk. Would you say he is somebody that would be trying his damnedest to innovate, make things work in order to save civilization down the road?
Yes.
Yet you have people who have become so trained maybe to hate him for political reasons that like they'll cheer if his rocket explodes. They'll cheer if an experiment goes awry. And it's like, this man could be working to save your children's children, whatever. Could be working to better our planet. And because of a political argument that you have with somebody, you've been taught to hate this person because of who he sided with politically, and now you're against him and everything he does, no matter what it is. And I think that is going to be our biggest hurdle, bigger than how do we capture energy? How do we make things clean? How do we renew stuff? All of that scientific innovation won't even matter when our own people stifle it over dumb reasons.
I think that all the time. I've studied every innovator in the last century, right? To like every biography I can get my hands on, it's somebody who did something. You know, that the theme is that when they are early development, the detractors of those people are, I don't know why this is, but it is a phenomenon that reveals itself in every generation. Anybody who's trying to change something, they get gang tackled by the dumbest people amongst us. And they do it anyway. And Elon's going to do it. And Thomas Edison did it. And Tesla's going to do it. And Henry Ford did it. All of these people on the early stage, like the Falcon 9 became what it became because nobody was paying attention to him when he was failing a ton, right? Nobody. But once you get to a high profile, if you don't hit a home run on your first attempt, right, you're gang tackled that you're an idiot and whatever. But stupid. I was watching Falcon 9 stuff and they were blowing up like every week. And I was like the only one interested. Me and 10 guys who were sitting in Nerdville pushing up our glasses, you know, playing Doom.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I love when like a rocket will explode and the mission will quote unquote fail. And everyone's like, oh, he's such an idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing. I'm like, did you make a freaking rocket? He had a rocket get off the ground, but he's because you in your basement could do better. Is that it? Like, exactly. That's so dumb.
But because it's such a phenomenon that reveals itself in every generation, that's what human beings are. Right.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, all of our primitive instincts about, you know, taking the people who can solve the problem and demonizing them and revering like the prophet, what's his name? The world's going to come in and Al Gore, making prophets out of the idiots and reviling the people who can do things. Like we're just a big group of dumb people who worship other dumb people.
Like, I know we want no kings and we don't want government telling us what we can and can't do. And nobody can have ultimate power over us. But I could really understand the need for a person in power to be like, all of you shut up. I'm doing this. Right. Like you have no say. You have no vote. I'm taking charge. I don't care how you feel about it. I'm doing this to save us from ourselves.
Yep.
I could totally see the need for that.
80-20. 80% of the people are too stupid to make good decisions and they get to vote. That's what it really comes down to. And so you have the dumbest people in leadership and you have 20% of the public are just looking around like saying they don't deserve us. They really are just going to meet their end and they're going to be so surprised when it happens, but they're in control.
So speaking of power and fuel and things of that nature, this is slightly off the subject, but it's made me think of it. Have you been through New Middletown lately? There's a new, I think it's a propane tank directly in the center of the parking lot of the hardware store. There's like the hardware, pharmacy, salon, plaza area, center of town. And there's a chain link fence, and in the middle of it is this tall vertical, I believe it's a propane tank.
Okay.
And I am so uneasy. Like I am so nervous that we just built a bomb in the middle of town because it's right by the construction. Like entire road under construction, drilling, digging into a road, into the ground. Enormous propane tank right here. And I'm just like, did we just make a bomb in New Middletown? It's just sitting there waiting.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, there are probably hundreds of thousands of those tanks, storage tanks that don't blow up on a regular basis. Technically, it's probably a big target for, human dismantlement. Yeah. But you're probably okay.
I am so uber paranoid lately because I don't know what is happening, but I feel like we've been hearing about more and more local explosions. And maybe this has always happened and we're just hearing about it. But what is happening? Like in the last year, I know of at least 4 or 5 explosions, like just in homes. What is happening? Is this just like a crazy set of coincidences? I don't know what caused them, so I can't even say, oh, it's faulty hot water tanks or propane tanks in the yard or whatever. I don't even know, but I'm like terrified now that something's going to explode. Is that weird?
They probably were always happening. I mean, I think we're safer than we ever been, but we have these news cycles that need information. And when they dig through catastrophe, they make it forefront because we love watching things blow up and whatever. So I don't think it's happening anymore than it is. But if it is, like, if let's just say, we're more likely, I don't know, to put more dense energy. Like if that's our struggle, where we want battery packs in our backyard and big propane tanks and whatever reserves, just like if you put a gas can in your garage, right? Probably won't explode, but having the gas can there means that it's a higher probability that there's going to be a gas can exploding in your garage. So it's one of those things where
now I got to worry about that.
Do you have a gas can in your garage?
I don't think it's a gas can, but there are motor vehicles in the garage.
Which have gas tanks.
Yeah.
What?
I'm so afraid of everything. Remember yesterday we were talking about like how to reprogram yourself to not feel a certain way. That's my thing. I've been programmed since childhood to fear everything. And it'd be great if I could
you and everybody else.
Oh my God. How do we quit that? I've tried to use like religion to do it.
Religion's good. Math and probabilities is good. People have an understanding of probabilities, and situating in your unknowns is what people are usually afraid of.
Yeah.
But if you had actual probabilities where you measured things and listed their probabilities, you'd feel a little bit better.
Like I've noticed when I hear about a horrific tragedy that happened, I want to like deep dive into what happened. And some people are like, just don't read about it. Turn it off. Ignore it. You're just upsetting yourself. And I'm like, no. I'm feeling better if I know what went into that.
Yeah.
Because then I know, well, that's not an issue for me. I avoid that all the time.
Exactly.
Or I don't even have that.
You know what you can do to lower the probability. So let's just use your gas can. So I go out on AI and I'm like, how many gas cans explode in people's garages? And it's like 7,000 per year. And like, okay, how many people have gas cans in their garage? 1,500,000 and whatever. So we have a 0.7% chance of your gas can exploding. Then I go to AI and I'm like, what can you do to decrease the chances of gas cans exploding? And it has everything from don't have a gas can in your garage to putting it in fire lock foam, right? And everything in between. So if you want to make yourself feel better, you pluck something out of the increase in probability that something won't happen, and you do that thing, and then you've increased your probability and chances of the thing you don't want to happen not to happen. And that's how you feed in and you quell fears. Every time you get afraid, you make an action that makes something less likely to happen. Now, if you want to keep it in the mystery and you don't know what the probabilities are and you don't know what to make it better and you don't know what to make it worse, now you have fear. And as long as we are in the information age, there should be no fear about anything, because we should be occupying 6 hours of every day of taking everything we're afraid of and making it better. And then eventually, then it'll be a deal of your house is safe. There's nothing exploding. You're in a high chance of nothing bad happening. And now you look at everybody else who's doing nothing, watching their shit explode. And you're like, man, I really wish I have the information to make less gas cans explode in people's garages. Let me help them.
But you know what? One situation I struggle with that I feel like no matter what I do, I have very little control over it is being in the car on the road. And it seems like there are a lot of variables you can control, and there are.
Yeah.
But I have also seen where, like, Julie says, this is when I wish I thought more like Joe. Things you can't control, like other drivers.
Right.
Other drivers being distracted. I can't control if you're on your phone or if you're looking at something or if you're falling asleep at the wheel or whatever. And I've been in instances, thank God, nothing really serious, where I'm literally just driving down a road and a car coming at me just stops paying attention and goes like this. And there's nothing I can do about it. I can try to, in my head, say, if that happens, I'm going to choose the ditch over an oncoming car. I'm going to do something to increase my odds of the accident not being as bad. But I have no control over the person that is just going to veer into me, is going to blow a stop sign into me, is going to whatever. And I live with that thought daily. Mm-hmm. I don't remember the last time I was in a moving vehicle and was not uptight and was not just like every car coming to a stop sign. I'm like, please stop at that stop sign. Most cars do. I would say it's very rare I see a car actually go through a stop sign, but it's not unheard of. And now I feel every car will do it, and every car's going to run into me. And like, I'm slowing down on my road because I'm about to turn into my house, and the people behind me are not going to be paying attention, and they're just going to plow right into me. Every day, this is in my head because it's like, could I choose what hours I drive? Probably not, but maybe. Could I try to pick roads where there's less traffic? Could I make sure I'm paying attention?
This is the fallacy rope that it's so fixated on the controlling of other people that you never have the mental energy to do things that are in your control. And then when in the end of the day, you say, hey, I can't control these other drivers. And I'm going to say, did you control everything you could? No, because I was too worried about the other drivers. And we're like, okay, well, you're just as stupid as they are then, right? Yeah. Because you had 92 things that you could do something about, and you did none of them. And all you did was look at them like, if I could only control them, I'd be totally safe. And that's failed logic as far as I'm concerned.
But the things I'm doing, I think, are still like I'll just think, if they veer into me, what am I going to do? If this happens, what am I going to do? And I can have those thoughts, and then I'll drive my husband insane because he'll be driving and I'm in the passenger seat, just like, do you see that car? You see that car?
And that's what it is.
Like, I have to watch everything.
My suggestion means you got to take things that are less than 1% chance of increasing the probability that something doesn't happen. So you got to assemble 20 things. It's so much easier just to control that dude. And that's like an all or nothing thing. I'm not going to do any of my stuff because he's not, right? And it's what your 5-year-old would tell you about why they're not going to do it, because they look at everybody else and the injustice like, well, they're not trying as hard as I am. Why should I try? But I have to remind you, the goal is not to have the thing blow up on you. Whose fault it is doesn't matter. If you can increase 5% chance that it doesn't blow up, you've done your part and you are ahead of everybody else because you did what was in your control.
So you're saying I should be that constant state of awareness and worry?
Yes. No, you shouldn't worry. You should use worry to increase your probabilities if something doesn't happen. And when you've exhausted all of those, you will be so kept busy by increasing your probability of something not happening that it won't happen, and you won't have had time to sit there and be worried and fearful. It's basically distracting you from, you can't control enough of the variables to make sure it doesn't happen 100%. And you need to get fixated on the 10% that you can control. But that's not typical.
But sounds like I'm still going to be stressed out in the car.
You're not, though. These are all automatic. Like if you wanted to increase your chances of the gas can not blowing up, and I said you increase your chance of it not happening if you vent it every day. So you put on your calendar at 8:00 every night before you go to bed. You go out in your garage, you take the cap off, you let it vent, and then you put the cap back on, right? 1% is what you gain by doing that, right? You didn't make it so that it couldn't happen, but you did increase the probability. Would that stress you out? It's a small, tiny act that's not consequential. If you forget to do it, it really doesn't matter. If you do it, it really doesn't matter because it was an all or nothing thing. If you make sure that it's not sitting in the sunlight, it's not something you're going to worry about because it's a bunch of inconsequential things that increase the probability that doesn't happen.
So do I pretty much just kind of tell myself, well, I know I wear a seatbelt. I'm not staring at my phone. I'm going a reasonable speed, and there's room. If I got to swerve, I'll be fine. And just...
They'll keep adding to the list. Is there anything I could do today that makes it less probable that if that situation happened that I could do, and then go do that thing? And then you're assembling 100 different things that you do that allow you to increase your probability that that thing doesn't happen. So always be inventing. If the worry pops into your brain, trust your instinct that said there's a danger that's out of your control, and add to the probability that it doesn't happen.
So, like, I have found that I used to think that I felt safer if someone else was driving. Now I almost feel like maybe I need to be driving and then I feel in control. So maybe I do that. Like, do I just increase the probability?
That might be one of them.
I know
Take a
I'm in
defensive
control.
driving course, add some extra utilities into your car.
Because I'm like, if I'm in the passenger, I can't make the driver do something or not do something. And I can't make all these other drivers do something or not do something. I'm just there like a sitting duck.
Yeah. And then you not be a contributor where you don't do all the things that cause unattentive drivers to go into traffic. And just trust me, there are so many things that are in your control that you're not doing right now that will distract you from the inevitability that you can't control another human being while they're doing dangerous things too. Just control you.
But what do I do if I'm a passenger and I'm freaking out?
Make a list of more things that you can do when you're in the driver's seat.
Like, here's a good example.
You want me to say, here's a purple pill that you take and it makes you in control of all things. And that just doesn't make sense.
I just want to know. So when we were out of town, that same instance of the bathroom, before that happened, we were going to a bike park. We're driving from our friend's house to this bike park. And I thought it was like a couple miles away. I thought it was close. The further we go, I realize it's not close and you have to get on the highway and there's people driving at fast speeds. And for whatever reason, I am in the back seat, my husband driving, and I realize I'm terrified. Like, I am just, even my son's like, are you okay? And I was just like, fine. Like, I feel like we are flying. I feel like I am almost like, I feel vulnerable. Like, I can't control anything. And oh my God, we're going to wreck and something bad. Like, we're going too fast and there's nothing to hold on to. And it is like this most intense uneasiness. I told my husband, I said, had I known this was farther away, I wouldn't have even come. I wouldn't have gone. Like, that ride here, I was terrified the whole time. And I'm just like, what is that? I didn't even know where that came from. Some people say perimenopause. I don't know. But like, what do you do? What do you do if you're like, I am suddenly in this situation and I can't get out? I have to just get there and I have to stop freaking out. But what am I controlling in that situation?
Let's change it to a more simple deal.
Okay.
You need to invent ways that make you feel better about the situation. So do you have a 2-story house?
Yes.
You sleep on the second floor?
Yes.
You ever afraid that fire breaks out on the first floor and you're trapped on the second floor?
Well, I am now.
Okay. So fire's you cannot escape down the first floor. Is there anything that you can do that when you conjure that up in your brain, that there's fire on the first floor and you're on the second floor? Is there anything you can do? There's not a fire right now. Is there anything you do pre-fire to increase your chances to make you feel better about being trapped on the second floor?
Yeah. Like, I know if you go in my son's room, you can climb onto the porch and then you can kind of go down the pillar onto the porch and, you know, like go up onto the roof and then climb down kind of thing.
So thinking about that, anytime the image of fire on the first floor happens, you know exactly what you were to do because your imagination allowed you to rehearse it and know that you were saved because you know where you can climb down. Or if you don't have a roof, you install a ladder, right, on the second floor roof that you can get to from any room. Right. Yeah. And now you can get out safely on that hypothetical. So you dream up the hypothetical and you do things that increases your chance above zero, right? That you will know what you will do. You rehearse it. And it makes you feel better because you've already thought of the bad thing happening and you already know what you would do to increase your chances. Now that'll get you started because those are almost 0 to 100. The ladder would make you say, oh yeah, I know exactly what I would do. I have the stove's on fire and I keep a fire extinguisher here. I bought the fire extinguisher because I thought there might be a fire in this place one day. And if the fire happens, I go to this drawer, pick up the fire extinguisher, shoot it off. Now there's no fire. That's a 0 to 100 deal. The car one's a little bit more complicated because you're never going to take out the variables that are out of your control.
Yeah.
But there are 100 ones that you can. And whenever you complain about this, all I'm going to do is say, tell me all the things that you did to get you above zero. No planning where I'm just an innocent victim who's wandering through this and I did nothing versus Kellen who says, well, I'm going to, bring a I don't know, a balloon suit in case I hit something. I'm in the balloon suit. Anything above nothing is better than nothing.
But what is there? What is there? A balloon suit, I guess.
Does your car have airbags all around?
The one we were in at the time, no.
Okay, so you can invent a policy that if you're fearful of,
if we're going to be traveling,
you're going to be in a car that's going to have the airbags. You said the seatbelt one, keeping straight posture and feet on the floor to allow the seatbelts to do their thing if you're in an accident. So no feet on the dash or slouched or, watching a video, always in a position where you give yourself the best chances of safety devices from catching you. So you're inventing all of these things that you can do, right? And then you're a participant in increasing your chances of survival.
But then then I feel like sometimes my kids will be messing around in the back seat and it'll make me anxious because I want them to be like, hey, don't be twisted in your seat. Don't be doing something in case there's a wreck. Like, I need you guys to just be straight and in your seat and in this posture. And then I feel like, well, all I'm doing is teaching them then to be afraid of everything and to never be able to relax. Well, just do it from my angle
where it's a probability discussion. It's not a fear discussion. Fear as the emotion can motivate you to do the mathematical and the logical side. Take it heavy math, and nobody's afraid of math.
I still feel like if I'm like, hey, can you just turn forward and look forward and put your feet flat on the ground and make sure your seatbelt is where it needs to be, they're going to be like, oh, God.
Yeah, you can say that the seatbelts were designed with a crash test dummy that is positioned a certain way. And if we want to let the seatbelts do its job the way that it's intended, we have to put ourselves in a position where it can do the best job. That's it. Now, they're as safe as they can be with that harness. You can add more harnesses. You can put them all in car seats. Like that's the deal. Put them in a car seat that is a full
older kid car seat.
Yes, right.
Maybe I need one of those.
You would feel better if you had an old person car seat.
Julie says, I do the same thing, Kellen. I do a false start at the stop sign and watch and see if the other driver is going to make a break for it.
Right.
She says Lexapro is the name of that small pill. I think I've been on Lexapro before many years ago. I didn't see much of a difference, but it was low.
Yeah, all the fear-based people that I know, they populate their hang up, right? Because let's just say unknowns you are fearful of, right?
Yeah.
But then you create a ton of unknowns. You've then populated the thing that you hate, right? When I said I'm afraid of spiders, I don't go create spiders so I have a reason to be afraid. I try to keep spiders distance from me so I'm not put in a position to be afraid.
I wonder if the anxiety's amped up then. So like when I was a kid, I sometimes I blame my dad because he was very like everything can hurt you, everything can kill you kind of thing. Like if we left the house for school in the morning, he'd say, who takes care of you out there? Like keep your head on a swivel kind of thing. And I was like, oh my God, everything's dangerous. He wouldn't let us. He would call it unnecessary road travel. Like you don't just go riding around with your friends in the car or something, like get to where you're going and then get out. And, all these different things to constantly make you think about staying safe all the time. So I used to think, oh my God, I'm hyper aware that everything's dangerous. But then I think it got worse when I had kids because kids are so, I don't know, like there's a lot of variables there and they can change at any time and that can be kind of constant madness. And I wonder if maybe then my extreme fear and anxiety has come from having kids where I'm like, now it's not, I can't just control what I can control. Now I have to be over me and these two beings that are basically chaos. And how do I control that too and keep them just as safe as me? And maybe that's where it stems from.
Well, the second part of that lecture would be the increasing probabilities part. So if you drive around more often, you have exposure to the road more often, you have other drivers more often. If you have less number, you have a lower probability. So half right on this one.
Yeah.
Right. The other part of it let's just say you wanted to go out on a joyride, which means that you have no benefit other than enjoyment and creating a risk where you're on the roads that something could happen. Now, if you go and do that, you know you're needlessly putting yourself at risk with no benefit. If you have to go to work, that's essential. If you're just going to get ice cream, that's non-essential. The probabilities you're going to be in an accident are X. Just increase X to a higher number, right? And then you offset, right? You've offset the extra liability that you took on by doing something that was non-essential.
Yeah, like I don't freak out so much in my daily road trips, but like if we want to go somewhere, the travel terrifies me. Like I want to just be there. Like we were talking about like Hocking Hills or going to visit family in Columbus or going to do something and, you know, going up to Lake Erie, going wherever. I want to go do those things. I don't want the act of going. And it's like, hey, let's go to this place. It's a couple hours away. It'll be so much fun. I bet it would be fun. I would love to be there. I want to be there. I can't stomach the thought of traveling there. Like, how many hours away is it? It's about 2.5, 3 hours. So for 3 hours, I have to just try not to die. Like, I'm just like, I don't know if I can.
Rewire that brain. That is the answer. Rewire that brain. Use the emotional energy of fear to do more things that increase your probability of safety. That's it. That imagination, put it good use.
Do more things to increase the probability of safety.
Yep. And then it'll take you 2 hours to make that list, and you'll have lots of stuff to do when you get home to increase that probability. And by the time you're done with your list, you're already at your destination. You're like, I didn't have enough time to worry.
And then maybe on the way, I'm like, listen, I am confident. I have done absolutely everything there is to do to increase my probability. And now, Jesus, take the wheel. I can't do any more.
But there will be so few of those that's where that faith in and trust in your process, right, will fill in on any of those gaps. Because before, you have 100-mile gap of unknowns where you're not responsible in that car because you did nothing to keep it as safe as possible, and you're worrying and you're a little bit shamed that you did nothing to make it safer. Now it's just 100% on a gamble, right?
Yeah.
But if you did like 1,000 things of preparation and you have contingencies built on other contingencies, you did everything you can. You can, with clear conscience, just say, you know, if it's going to happen, then it really wanted to happen because I did all the preparation that was possible.
Yeah.
What? I know that look.
One of the things that I do a lot when I'm the passenger and my husband's driving is I will watch him. If he looks at something, I go, please keep your eyes on the road. Please keep your eyes on the road. And he's like, I am. And like, I don't want to be that person that makes him like, all right, I'm staring at the road. Like he could be like, oh yeah, look at the corn's growing or look at that thing over there. And I'm like, can you not? Don't.
But when you're rewired, that won't happen because you're seeing things through the prism of fear. And so when you're looking for a blue car, you will find blue cars because that's where your focus of your energy is. If you're looking for solutions and increase in probabilities, then your imagination takes you to 1,000 new things that you can do to make it safer. And you have time to like try to control other people and be, an observer in the madness. You get, especially with family. Family is really good about getting on the same page. When something's important to you, everybody kind of shares with the importance and everybody chips in and makes it even safer.
Like they'll say, mom's crazy, so just be quiet.
Exactly.
So she doesn't freak out.
Give her what was the drug that Lexapro. Give her Lexapro so we can get to our destination without crazy.
My husband has thought, he's like, should we look into a sedative that will knock you out on a road trip and you just wake up when we get there?
Just try rewiring our brain. Let's move on to something else. We've belabored the craziness that is Kellen. What's the next topic?
Crazy. I don't know. That's all I got. What's your topic?
So we talked about restrooms and nakedness.
Yeah.
And we talked about fear and reprogramming.
We talked about weathering, engineering and harvesting energy in new ways. God, we covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah. What about pop culture? Anything happened to it? Because I have read so little in the news realm. I have no idea what's going on.
Do you really care? You never care about pop culture. I'm trying to bring pop culture all the time.
I'm going to say it's stupid. I'm going to say it's stupid, but I just haven't had any exposure to it. So what's going on? Like, anything
going
of substance?
Lots of new albums coming out. Lots of people making new music. there's always this, is Justin Bieber and Haley
All right,
Bieber going to break up?
Let's see if Velvet Sundown, how it's doing.
Hey, speaking of which,
Yes.
I went to YouTube and I looked up Velvet Sundown to be like, oh, what is this thing? And then I saw a video of a guy that's like, we are real people. Here's our band. And then I saw another video again that said, nope, it's totally AI. Is it factually proven it's just AI, this Velvet Sundown?
I can't say that it is or isn't, but man, would that be a good marketing campaign if you dressed up your first album release and suggested that it was AI so everybody would freaking listen to it. Now you got over 2 million spins. Otherwise, if they would have just pushed it out there and there was nothing on it.
And I couldn't even find the song. All I could find are videos of people talking about the song.
I have it on Spotify right here.
Okay.
That's them.
Yeah. Velvet Sundown. Oh, yeah.
But you didn't need to see it anyway.
I thought of another thing too that is probably going to open up a can of worms.
Okay.
How do you feel about the discussion of having an African American James Bond for the latest Bond film? Apparently that's a controversy.
All right. Pause that. I want to read it.
Pause.
Initially shown a mystery fueled by speculation, the band's creators have since confirmed that they utilized AI in the creation of their music, promotional materials, and band imagery. The project is described as artistic provocation designed to explore the boundaries of AI in music. So they're real people.
So they are real people.
Wrote, performed the whole. It's an AI song. Then they're real people that did it.
Real people that used AI.
Yeah.
So it is kind of half and half.
Yeah.
It's not totally AI generated.
AI didn't like decide to do it, produce it, and publish it. There were humans involved. In the making.
And the guys you're seeing are real people, not AI generated images.
Yeah.
Wah, wah. That's less cool.
Whatever. I listened to it. It's really garbagey. It's not real great.
Really?
Really folksy. Really like lyrics are just kind of 16-year-old girlish, and it's not great.
This could lead us to a deep discussion.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll pause Bond because my point was going to be, I think we have had a black Bond before, but unimportant. I saw an interview the other day. Michael Knowles, very strong conservative, was talking about today's Christian music. Like things you'd hear on K-Love or in churches sometimes, like Christian music has really become kind of like pop songs. Real mainstream sounding. And some people like that. Some people hate it. He hates it because he's like, oh, it's a pop love song. It's gotten dumb. It's just this typical everyday kind of song. And then you have this mindset where he was talking about an interview that Brandon Lake did. And anyone who doesn't know, Brandon Lake is a really like kind of popular current Christian artist. And he says he likes to make music for Bubba. He called it. And he says, and what I mean by that is the guy in the back of church that was dragged there by his wife. Doesn't really want to be there. Doesn't really know what he believes, but he came because his wife made him and he doesn't care about any of this. But maybe he'll hear a song and be like, you know what? I dig that though. That's a cool sound. I could get into that. And then maybe they hear another song and they're like, oh, I like that song. That's an upbeat, and then that leads them somewhere potentially. I love music. So that's why I kind of get into this, because I have found myself like getting into a lot of Christian music when I was like, that's weird. Like why because it does. It sounds like other music I like. And some people hate that. I think, to me, I'm of this take of whatever gets you there. If that's what spoke to you, if that's what reached you, if that's what piqued your interest and it led to other things, then that's what it was meant for. Other people are like, tradition, it's not about that. You have to follow this tradition because it was done that way for a reason, and you don't want to go too mainstream. Where do you lie there?
Different flavors for different people. Like you should have traditional for the people who like traditional. You should never force somebody, right?
Yeah.
To do something against their will for the sake because you think they should. The freedom to be expressive however you want to express.
And I think Michael Knowles' point was, it's not about the people. It's about God, and you should make it about him. You don't write the song to please a person. You do it to worship to God. And I'm like, but if you don't reach the person and make them want to do that, then how are you going to get to your conclusion?
Yeah, competing theories. If experimentation is all about that, you throw the hypothetical that if I'm not reaching someone, right, and I do this thing and I reach them and it works, I do more of it, right?
Yeah.
So to not do that thing, would you rather be traditional and have a club of people who like that, but don't reach someone over here because you were unwilling to speak the language that they speak? So
you just keep it in that club.
Traditionalism in that way is dumb. It really is. I think there's anybody who loves that can go get that flavor somewhere, and there's people who want to be fringe, want to be off the reservation a little bit, go do that thing too.
Yeah.
Whatever's effective. Because
I've heard people, like, from a religious standpoint, maybe when churches talk about like growing the church and getting more members and reaching more people, but at the same time they will say, well, our congregation has a lot of this old school mindset. Yeah. We're afraid to offend anyone. And I want to say, so do you want to keep just that, or do you want to grow and reach others? Because I don't know if you can have both. I feel like you can have a little bit of both.
Well, all right, fast forward, get in your time machine, go to 20 years, and all those people are aged out, they've died, whatever, and so your pews are empty. What decision are you going to make on that day to attract new people? Are you all of a sudden going to drop your traditional low bar and start attracting new people? Well, just start doing that stuff now, and the inevitability is still the inevitability.
Yeah. Krista says, my stepson loves Christian music and got me into it. Now he follows all sorts of Christian rappers, and not going to lie, they're pretty darn good. Yeah. Like, there's some, I used to think it was going to be cringe, like a Christian rapper, or, oh my God, what are they? They're going to make Christian songs that sound like that. And then I hear some and I'm like, that's catchy. Like, I could hear that on the radio or in my car and not feel cringe. Like, it just is a fun song. And again, if that reaches someone that listens to rap music or whatever, it could be country, it could be whatever, they're in this realm and then they hear something that sounds like that, so they like it and it draws them to more. I don't see that as a bad thing. I see that as a good thing. I think you're not going to reach people if you sort of stay in the one lane, so to speak.
Yep. Have it both ways.
How do you feel about churches that make the music part really big? Like, I've been to some where I was like, oh, this is a Jesus concert is what this is. There's lights and a big band and professional singers. And I used to think that was like, all right, this is beyond cheesy. This is too much. But then I got so into it that now if I'm at a smaller one and it's just a couple singers and a guitar, I'm like, oh, that's not as fun. Do you have any traditional things in that? No. You like both?
Every flavor for every person. Church shopping until you find one. Not church's job is not to cater to you. If you like it, cool. If not, you move on to the next one, and that's it. Yep. All right, Black Bond. This is not a new brand of masking tape. This is having different people playing different roles, different ethnicities, different religions, and I guess you got to think what is theater? Like, what is entertainment? And if it is that you want to play a role and engage the audience and really, do a thing, then you use the tools at your disposal to reach your audience. Cool. But theater, I think, gum things up when there's some rules that they don't apply to certain things. Like, for instance, if you have we'll say a Native American, right, that is played by some white dude, right? Mm-hmm. Appropriating a culture to a person that's not Native American, all of a sudden, the sacred thing of having a real Native American play that role is super important. But then you have another one where you would have to flip-flop that idea and say, well, no, it's not just we're not appropriating. Thomas Edison cannot be played by a black person, right? He was not black. He was white. We have to stay true to the nature of the script. I can't see that. And as an audience member, as long as you're not like punching me in the face with some kind of agenda, if it's just for the sake of developing a role and that person nailed that role, I'd be able to get over it in like 1 second if you changed up a gender role or an ethnic role or whatever, as long as that person was perfect. And I can, it's sort of intuitively, right? I know why they picked that role. He's a badass, or whatever.
And that's kind of where I feel is, and I don't know why Idris Elba keeps coming to mind. You know who Idris Elba is? You'd probably know him to see him. He's an African-American British actor, very good looking, very deep voice. I could absolutely see him being Bond. In fact, I thought he did play Bond one time. I might be wrong, but people on Facebook, let me know if Idris Elba ever played James Bond. If he did not, I could absolutely see him being a Bond, and I would not think anything of it. I'd be like, the demeanor, everything fits the character. So I wouldn't mind. But if they pick someone, like you said, to push some agenda, it feels very unnatural. Like it feels like you didn't pick him because he's great at representing that character. You picked him to cause some reaction, push an agenda, whatever. And then now anybody who speaks out against it, you hear things like, oh, why? You don't like it because they don't look like you? You don't like it because it's another race? And I'm like, I don't like it because they don't do a good job at that character. And now we're back to this whole, like, it happened when there was the live action Little Mermaid. And everyone's like, but the Little Mermaid's a redhead. Like, that's a big thing in the character. I don't care if you have another race, but it better be something like like you're not gonna make the Little Mermaid and she's not a mermaid. It's like, what's the intention behind what they're changing is huge.
This era, it's the face tattoo syndrome, right?
Yeah.
There's a writer in a room that said, I'm gonna piss off the racists here. I'm gonna take a predominantly white character and make him black, and that's going to make everybody mad. And then they're like, what, are you mad? Huh? Are you going to be mad? Look, he's black. How do you like that? That's not theater. That's just provoking, trying to be provocative in a strange and idiotic way.
Yeah.
Again, if you open it up and you say, I'm hiring a pilot, and then you pick the best pilot, no matter what race or gender or ethnicity, I have respect for that because you picked the perfect person. But if you're like, I want to really get them, I'm going to take a person with no arms and legs. And when you notice the person flying the plane has no arms and legs, you're the problem, not the controversy of me wondering, how's this dude going to fly the plane? He has no arms and legs.
Yeah. Krista says, whoever they cast as James Bond needs to be one of the sexiest men alive. Race be damned.
That's it.
Yeah, they got to do it well.
Right.
You can't just pick anybody because you're like, oh, let's have some diversity. Let's make it this.
So when in television shows, and I notice this a lot, where they put in almost no traditional relationships. Every relationship in these shows, either a mixed race relationship or a same-sex relationship, or just really taking the traditional and making it so absurd out of the equation that you couldn't see a commercial that didn't have some kind of controversial type of mixed bag there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I saw it, it wouldn't even catch my attention. But if that's all there was, then I'm suspicious of it because it almost seems like it's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
To normalize the margin, the minority so much that it's so in your face. You're like, come on. There's no white people left on the planet. What's going on?
Yeah, it's like it feels combative. Like you took something that could have just been what you want to be normalized and left it as normal, where it was enough that I'd be like, oh, big deal. Oh, lesbian couple, biracial, interracial couple. Okay, but then they make it stand out to a point that now if you do say, oh, that's different. They're like, oh, why isn't it normal? You don't think it's normal? It's like, I feel like you're trying to get me. Like you're gaslighting a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. And again, I just would have a warning on it that you can make movies for whatever stripes that you want. There's going to be some people that totally appreciate that. And there's some people who are absolutely not going to appreciate that. And when the people who don't appreciate that aren't watching, you're not going to shame people into putting a terrible product on the screen, having people sacrifice their time and money to go see it, and then you're going to wonder why it is not as making as much money as it could or having as much travels. You did that by buying that.
Yeah, I watched one girl because I know, like Carter says, Joe would be a good Bond.
The only 5'5" Bond that has no mechanical skills, can't punch anything, and I have a strict command of the American language, the English language. Did I just say that out loud? Yeah. I have a good command. I talk good.
I talk good.
And I'm not real great with the ladies, but that will be an interesting Bond.
But I saw a girl did a whole video. We were talking one day a while back about like the new Snow White film and everything. And she did a whole video of how terrible the movie was in so many ways. But I feel like the moment somebody says that was a terrible movie, you're instantly met with, oh, why? Because you didn't like that it was a Hispanic person, or it was a this, or it had diversity. Is that why? And it's like,
yes, exactly.
Yeah, that is 15 other reasons it sucked, but that's it.
I'm telling you, the face tattoo syndrome is so prevalent. Do something controversial and then be outraged and offended when the controversy that you tempted into the conversation is all of the conversation. Like that Snow White thing could have been awesome, right? What would you have to, 2 changes that you could have made with Snow White? Number 1, shut that bitch up. Shut her up. No talking, no promotional, no social media. Go play the role.
Yep.
Go do your acting thing and tell the story. Do it like the first time. It was fun. She talks to freaking animals. Great. Have her talk to some animals. Be rescued by the prince. Do the story. Everybody would have freaking loved it.
At the very least, if you choose to change it, come at it that way. Like I've used Snow White, the Huntsman as an example. There is a Snow White movie with Kristen Stewart that is completely different from the Snow White story. And they lead with that. It's very much understood. Her name is Snow White. This is a new adaptation. It's a totally different story. And then I'm like, all right, I go into it knowing this is just a new adaptation of it. But when you're packaging it as the original fairy tale story, and then you make all these dumb little changes, now I'm like, oh, now I feel like you tried to.
Okay, so this might exist. I think I may remember a long time ago, but if I did Evil Mickey kills the zombies, and that's my movie, you would have no expectations when you went in there that it was Mickey Mouse driving a steamboat or whatever. You would be like, Evil Mickey killing zombies. I'm expecting a different thing.
Yeah. Wasn't there are some movies like that. So. Like a Winnie the Pooh or something?
Yeah.
They've made some like creepy horror.
Winnie the number 2. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Krista says, good example was the Barbie movie.
Which direction? Because I remember the Barbie, and this is what I like about satire. Like when you can be equally as satirical no matter the angle, right? That I have appreciation because you're lampooning everybody. So Barbie, from what I remember the movie, I think I barely watched it. It was sort of on the background. But I think they took just as many jabs at feminism, right, as they took jabs at masculinity. I think
she says it was a feminist flashpoint.
Yeah, and they did have that, but they also had some, as long as they do it on both sides of the equation, then it makes you think because you get it from both sides. We're not just making fun of, the traditional patriarch, we're also making fun of the other side. And again, that I have appreciation for that.
I didn't mind the Barbie movie. I don't know if I loved it as much as everybody else did.
Yeah, I don't think I loved it.
Yeah, I was entertained. I liked it. But the whole idea of just this incredibly award-winning, amazing film, I was like, I don't know if it was that good. Did it push some sort of like world-changing agenda?
But I look at those awards almost like when they have concept fashion, where someone comes out in like a shower curtain and they, are just applauded for the craziness. it's not real. It's meant to push on the boundaries of fashion, just like the movies that push on the boundaries of theater get rewarded. I don't like watching any of that shit. Like I know what I like, and it might be old timey boomer stuff, but I like comedy. I like action. I like horror, traditional genres. And so maybe younger generations have bigger appreciation for that kind of stuff. I don't. I mean, there are probably 5 movies that exist that I didn't quite understand while I was watching it or even after it. They were so deep and complicated storylines that you really had to watch it like a second and third time to get it. Now all movies are so superficial. Like you have to dig into it and find meaning because there really isn't any. Like I just watched a movie that had hand grenades, a machine gun, and things blowing up. That was it. The characters, are you going to put Mickey Mouse in there? And it would have been the same freaking movie and everything in between those two.
I hate when I can easily guess where a plot is going.
I hate that.
Yes. And I was watching a show just over the weekend. The show I like, an episode started, and I like to everyone in my house, I said, here's what's going to happen. Here's a misunderstanding. They're going to think this. They're going to think this. It's going to be funny because what they say until they all get on the same page. And that's exactly what happened. And I was like, oh my God, I could have seen that coming a mile away.
For sure.
And
yeah, the depth is gone in movies. For that reason, though, when you make a movie, it's so expensive now to make, you almost have to template what people will watch. And so like when you watch the Hallmark movies, they're always the same freaking storyline.
Yeah.
And yet every mom sitting at home watches these stupid things for that exact reason. I like unpredictability. I like plot twists. I like pushing on, the characters, and you just don't get that anymore because it's a risk. It's a gamble.
So great when you actually get one. Like if you can really do a plot twist that truly got me, I didn't see it coming and it was cool. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're just very superficial.
Yeah.
Carl says, why are Christians always the butt of the joke? When was the fact that the Islam fella married a little girl mentioned in mainstream TV or movies? That is a very good question.
I'm confused. What?
Okay. So really there are stereotypes that theater used to emphasize. Like everything was bigger than life. So when you took a character flaw or a certain archetype in a movie or a television show, you amplified it to make it funnier. So you had the dads were always bumbling idiots, right?
Yeah.
They were always the butt of the jokes, and the women were the close academics that were the smart ones and always had to take the bumbling husband
like,
and
I know how to handle your father.
Feed them through.
Yeah.
Because they were pushing on whatever that majority. It's only that then once roles flip, we almost take parts that are too sacred to impugn. I like impugning. I love pushing on status quos. So if you take something like a religious figure and then you treat that religious figure as sacred, you can't take shots at them. You can't minimize their character. They always have to be playing that role, and everybody knows that role. Versus like the cop who's an idiot or the preacher who's an idiot. You take those big roles and you minimize them, and take the minimal roles and you maximize them. As long as you do it uniformly, it works. But that's my my criticism is that there are certain types that you don't stereotype, and then there are other ones that we're completely comfortable with, like making fun of a Christian versus making fun of a Muslim. Why is one on limits and one of them is off limits?
Does it feel like it's that sort of that phenomenon where you're comfortable? I feel like some people, we do it with race. I can say that because I'm that race. I can make fun of that, but bullshit. You're not, so you can't.
Bullshit. You can make fun of anybody.
But do you feel like people have that same feeling? Like, oh, we can joke about Christianity, but you can't because that's not you. And then somebody else could say, well, I can joke because it's me, kind of thing.
It's sort of power homeostasis. And it's a natural tendency that when you have an accumulation of power and wealth within one group, the other groups want to be elevated, and that's what we have with DEI and what's that called? Where quotas and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this one's the power one. So you don't like you have a billionaire versus a thousandaire. Okay. Who do you take pity on and who would you give better graces for? The guy who can afford it or the guy that can't? And the homeostasis to bring the billionaire down and the thousandaire up. So if the patriarchy was the power position, then you want to help everything that's not the patriarchy to be elevated, and you want the patriarchy to be cut down a couple of levels so we reach homeostasis. So that would be, like I said, it's a phenomenon in nature where all of the pressures are going to push it in that direction, no matter what. And we can't take the patriarchy and inauthentically keep it elevated, right? Which would be the natural tendency. And we can't then take the minority end and inauthentically minimize it and keep it down, which again, that's happened in the past as well. What? Did I say too much there?
I'm still confused by that question. The Islam fella married a little girl mentioned in mainstream TV or movies. Why is Christianity always but of the joke, but we don't talk?
Well, if in that religion, marrying a 13-year-old girl is a taboo that we can't make fun of. Like if you took a spoof movie and had every Muslim, with goats and 13-year-old girls versus a Christian and had them what would Christians like altar boys and
priests
and whatever,
and
you probably seen the altar boy one on a regular basis and nobody really cared because they were in the power position. And you don't see the Muslim one, which because that's taboo to talk about and put into.
I saw Family Guy make a joke one time.
Yeah, well, Family Guy, South Park, those people don't really care. They impugn everybody, and that's fair game.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up.
I say we're out of time, unfortunately.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll be back again tomorrow. You get a triple dose of us. Quadruple.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's us.
Oh, it's a good week. It's a good week.
All right. Have a good one, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook.